Okay, myself, Jamesey, along with my partner in crime, Matt LS. We're here with the legendary Chicago-owned Robert Owens here joining us in London. We are blessed and privileged to have you here.
Thank you. I'm blessed to be here amongst the family too as well. It's beautiful to be back here in London.
Yeah, it's really good to have you. And this is a very special occasion because you're here in London, not your first rodeo at the Jazz Cafe.
No, it's not my first rodeo at the Jazz Cafe. It's not my first rodeo with a band collective. I actually had an 11-piece band that formed here in London, you know, where I went out and found all of the different musicians that was involved with the whole collective. I was working for a record company here called Freetown Records.
Okay.
You know, in their early stages, and we put together a whole choir, and so I found singers and musicians and did lockouts in studios and trained vocalists and everything with this label, you know, so it's not my first round with that, and I've worked with orchestras, and you know, so the live element is really cool. It's a different, you know, aspect of your character, you know, from a different viewpoint of your character, you know, when you do a live thing opposed to the DJing thing. So, and you're working as a collective, you know, so you're feeding off of each other in the live element of things. Too,
right,
I think.
Right. And we're going to stick a pin in that regarding the music. As you know, we have a release coming with you, which is out now.
Vibing.
Exactly that, vibing. An interesting vocal by the name of Natural Frequencies, along with our man from Japan, Masaki Mori.
Thank you all so much for that. You too. It's been a real pleasure, you know, seeing some of the feedback from different people. You know, I reposted posts that I saw, and I posted on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and just lots of people have been coming back. Oh yeah, I'm into this vibe here, you know. So it's cool.
Do you find songwriting very easy? It comes naturally to you?
Yeah, for me it's natural. You know, for me, I tell people I don't try. I do. Either something works or it doesn't work. And you know, I think about, for me, the emphasis of the word family always comes up, you know, with me just throughout anything, you know, performance-wise, hanging out, it's all about family. You know, so even when I'm receiving a instrumental from artists, I instantly think about the character of that artist. If I had a chance to actually be around them or talk to them on the phone, you know, I try to absorb some of your character, and I try to convey that back into what I create. So I try to, as best as possible, create a unified thought that I think, you know, okay, I'm playing as a team player,
right?
You know, in this scenario, you know, when I'm thinking about creating music. So I listen to the instrumental, I think about the individual, and then I just go with my first instinct.
Okay, all right. And with that first instinct, we're gonna take it back to the 80s when it all started. When you really started to get involved in writing music along with your members at the time, Mr. Larry Heard.
Oh, Fingers Inc.
Fingers
Inc. I was coming off of the disco era before house music. You know?
Really?
So I used to hang out at up north side of Chicago, Flamingos, Coconuts, a lot of the gay clubs. I had fake ID getting in clubs.
At what age was this?
As a young,
if you don't
like
mind
about 18 or 17. You know, getting in clubs and hanging out and just getting the vibe off of things. Even there was a club there in Chicago, the Den One, that Ron Hardy actually was famous at that club before he went to California and started working in the Catch One, where he became really famous there. I went back after, you know, the house, after a period I was living with Frankie Knuckles, and I think Tears had just come out. And I went back to Chicago, and that club was about to close. And I went and rented it out, and I hired him to come play. I was like, this is me giving something back to you for what you gave to me. You know, and I didn't realize that he was even sick or nothing at that time, but I was grateful that I got an opportunity to sit with him and do something you know, to say to him how much he meant to me, and you know what an inspiration he was for me to, you know, really get motivated and sort out what would you say, to get inspired to go deeper into the whole music realm. It was a lot of it was from what I heard him do, and Frankie Knuckles as well. They were both, you know, real inspirations to me coming up in the scene. But yeah, that was off the disco point before the house thing even came in. And in the early stages of even, you think what Frankie and them were doing, it was mainly rooted around disco music, you know, and they was splice editing disco tracks. And even back then we had a cassette deck by Pioneer that was pitch control. I used to do pitch edit where I just pause edits and splice up things like that. And I gave Frankie and Ronnie some of my splice edits. And so they were inspirational in me thinking, oh, maybe I could do something in this field. And then it started developing where you started hearing Jesse Saunders and Jamie Principle. I think they were some of the first earliest artists to actually kick in there to kind of get everybody inspired. And then we came in, as far as songs and stuff, I think it would be Jamie Principle was one of the first ones to me that was really you know, he got everybody like, wow, you know, as far as a writer and you know, creating what I felt was songs. A lot of the other things were drum rhythms that people were making at the time.
Okay. I just first wanted to say congratulations on 40 years in music.
Thank
it's
you.
probably a bit more now because you've just let us in on that, saying you were going to clubs when you were a bit younger.
It's been great. A pleasure to do the dates. You know, I've done about 3 or 4 dates now so far, and a really beautiful response from people, you know, so far. But yeah, you look back and it's like a blessing to still be here, and you know, think about like, the history.
Because it's been a tough period, isn't it, in the last few years, particularly with Chicago artists and DJs. Down, we've lost some real icons, I think. People that we've worked with, there's people suffering. So yeah, it's great to have you here in you know, in all your glory. I was firstly just wanted to say you've obviously had a lot of highs in those years, and if you could maybe just go into a bit more about some of those highs. How have you felt some of those highs in the last 40 years?
Oh God, I've had beautiful highs. You think I played at Sydney Opera House twice.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was playing there the first time. I got there and it was a surprise. We had talked about it, but I didn't realize it. And then got there and some people showed up at the airport. They couldn't get tickets, a mother and a son. Okay. And I was like shocked that they just wanted my autograph. And I was like, oh, I'll put y'all on the list. So I put them on the list and introduced them to some of the other artists. But that experience, just being in one of those dressing rooms, so I'm like, this is what the opera people really be doing, and going through this long dressing room with all of this stuff in it. And, you know, they set it up, flowers at each end, 3 CDJs and a mic, seating area, and it was sold out. And it's like, and then the ground area, you know, just packed with people. And I was like, wow, this is like a beautiful experience. A house singer in the opera house is like something you never thought would happen. And then the second time I did it, and this was for a big festival there called the Vivid Festival. It was outdoors, and so you like across the bridge, you seen this all lit up, the sail lit up, and they have all of this culture from, I think it's ancestral history and stuff, that they put up all of this lit up film pieces and everything all across the bridge and everywhere, and just sea of people and stuff.
Did you do many music videos, or did you ever do any? Did you ever do Top of the Pops?
No, I never did nothing. They actually had me over here to actually.
I'm just thinking some of those records.
I was supposed to do Top of the Pops, and then it came in at 20. It came in at 21 instead of top 20. And so I was in the hotel, had went to the stylist and everything, got the outfit and everything, and then they canceled everything because it came into 21.
Is that how it works then?
Yeah, but back then, top 20,
I know they do the rundown. I used to watch it.
So Tears just missed off being top 20 by 1, and they canceled it. but I was supposed to do that. But I've done other TV things in Canada and different places, Toronto, and you know. So it's been a beautiful, adventurous life. Is
there anything you feel that you haven't achieved yet in music, or if there's some other things you'd like to do?
I've done the Exit Festival inside of a fortress, 100,000 people just circulating around this fortress, and you look down over this mountain and you just see this town and stuff. God, I did.
So you've got to see the world.
With P-Tong with orchestra, and we did all the way up to Scotland, BBC. We did ended at the O2 Arena. 30-something thousand people. I was like, I never seen that many people in a place. It was like, wait a minute, I need a drink before I go out. I had to just drink a glass of wine before I could deal with going up there to just deal with it. But it was just magical, seeing things like that. To little small intimate places. You know, I used to go to Cornwall a lot, Newquay, Torquay, and there's families down there that whenever I would come down, the whole family would come out. And then I'd go back to their houses after the clubs and stuff and just became a family member with people. I think those are special moments. Those are just as priceless as any big event, when, people invite you into their homes and hearts. So I've seen it from a lot of, different perspectives that always keeps me grounded and grateful,
Because on the way up here, you were saying in the car that you've lived in quite a few different cities, and that's very interesting. And I just wondered why you sort of ended up in Berlin, because it's quite a creative place. And
the Brexit came in, they kicked me out. They said, you're not married, you got to go.
Sorry about that.
You're not married, you got to go. It's like, I'll marry you, give me 5,000. It was like, oh, please, I'm not marrying nobody just for a visa.
Was there some bidders then? Was there?
It was like, well, it's got to be business. What happened to love? You want a business deal with me? No, I don't want a business deal. I don't even know you. You might bump me off after I pay you. So.
There's probably a record song in there.
Speaking of more records, I want to touch on a couple of the... Obviously, there's a lot of highlight singles you've had in your career. I'm going to start with, firstly, I want to know the process behind Bring Down the Walls, which is one of my favourites, which I tend to try and play in my sets every now and again and try to let the crowd know that this is a big tune. And I think when that tune kicks in, everyone knows this is something special.
A lot of those tracks were again, beautiful because we were like kids in a candy store and just learning, I think even back then, a lot of those artists were just learning the 303, 707, 909, etc., the drum machines to the Juno keyboards and everything. So a lot of things actually came up as accidents and when I was based in Chicago in those early periods, I was kind of the club kid. Larry Heard was like a musician, he worked with bands and different things. So I kind of I was already working and DJing in the club circuit, so I kind of pulled him into that. I played some of his early stuff at even the Music Box when Ron Hardy got sick. Robert Williams, who was the founder for Frankie and Ronnie and everybody, he asked me to come down and play. But in those early stages of that music, it was like being in a candy store, and I had a natural ear. People would even, a lot of the club kids knew each other, so they might come to my house, go to Frankie's house, go to Ron, and Ron, what Robert over there playing? Because all of us could find intricate little pieces of those disco tracks and loop them, and that's where I think a lot people got inspired to do sampling and stuff off of those re-edits of things that we were doing, in the club circuit off of the disco records and stuff. But with Larry's stuff, he would call me sometimes and just say, oh, I got a beat and come up or come over. So Bring Down the Walls was one of those situations where he's like, I just got this rhythm, and I came over. I was like, with him, I was always instant. He'd play something, and I was like, I got words that would match that. And so instantly I was like, give me the mic, and just in the living room like this, on an 8-track or something. Yeah. And then just the mic, and then even it's a part in there that the doorbell rings, and he's like, oh, that's a mistake. And every time, we would played at the Paradise Garage a few different times, and it's like they're gonna hear the mistake. And when it comes in, they thought it was a sound effect. But it was actually a mistake because it was one take. You know, this is where I was like, I don't try to second think something. And I think that's where Larry would always get inspired by me because I was natural and quick. You know, I could even go into a studio and have a written idea and say, okay, this is the idea that I'm going with and study. And then get in there. I'm like, no, scrap that. Just give me the mic and just hit something right off. 5 minutes, bam. And then the engineer working with me would be like, that's it.
And that's a wrap. That will be it. You'll be out of there, and you'll be on to the next almost.
On to the next thing. So music is definitely a feeling, and it should be something that makes you feel good, and in return, hopefully it'll make others feel good. And that's, you know, back then, again, I was the club kid, so I was playing in pubs in different places as well as giving stuff to Frankie and Ronnie and stuff. And so I could get a reaction from people, because even in the early stages too, I wouldn't even tell people that was me singing at first. I said, that's my friend. And what y'all think of him? It's like, yeah, he got something there and stuff.
Doing that third party. Okay.
I would even put my voice on acapellas, like on cassettes, and play it over some of the disco stuff to try to see what people would think and stuff without telling them it was me. So I was very much scientist kid back then too, and from one perspective.
It definitely shows, even with tracks like "I'll Be Your Friend," obviously, and
another one take situation.
Is that another one take situation?
Yeah. A makeup song between me and David Morales. I think they made me mad about something. And he called me over his house, and I was like, oh, despite all, let me hear what's going on. So he hooks the mic up in the bathroom, and then I go in, and I just one take. And I forgot about it.
Really?
And because I was like, oh, but maybe you don't want to make up.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to forgive me. And so I thought that they didn't like the vocal. And then I think almost a year had passed. And I was in the sound factory, and Frankie had took over from Junior Vasquez.
Yeah.
And Frankie had played it about 4 times, and we kept jumping up every time it came on. I was with a group of people, and they was like, there go that song again. And then after somebody said, fool, ain't that you singing? And I was like, I forgot about it. I'll be yours. It's like, I did that, yeah. Because a year had passed, and I just figured they didn't like it. It's like, and he just made it popular from there, and then some people got a hold of it, and they start playing it on the radio. And that's why they rushed to try to get it out, and got a deal instantly with RCA, and then in England over here with Paul Oakenfold. But at first it slipped out. They didn't really like the track. You know, but the kids got a hold to it. That's why I tell people too, from one perspective, I look at myself almost like a Robin Hood character. You know, I'm fighting against the hierarchy up there, you know, for the people and stuff, and the people pushing me. You know,
no, that's
I'm
really
kind of in
good.
that kind of scenario, mentality of thinking.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear the story, because we always like to hear the meaningfulness behind a lot of music, and us as running a label and liking to put out music and elevating artists and hearing meaningful music, and like legends like yourself, it's an honor and a blessing for us to have you on our label at this moment in time.
Thank you.
So,
I'm grateful.
Over all these years, it's really good to hear meaningful music. And do you write now purposely? Because we find, obviously you can write, you know, niche lyrics about, but do you always make your lyrics really relative to what may be happening in your life? Or
not just in my life, you know, it could be another instance. I was at an after party here in London one time, and I was just sitting by myself, and these 2 girls just came over, and they said, you look interesting. I'm like, okay. So they said, and they started talking to me, and it was like, one's like, I just broke up with my boyfriend, and she went into this long story, and they was all sad, and then we all got sad for a minute. I was like, you know what, I'm going to write you a song about this situation. And I went back home and wrote a song with a girlfriend, and it was about telling her to lift herself up and to be proud of her, and it's his loss, and all of the energy I got from that conversation, I applied it to the lyrical content for that song and sent it back to them. The song never came out, but and I still had a demo, and off and on, I think I should put that out eventually, you know. But just the experience of, you know, that it reverts back to the feeling that I'm here because of people and for people, and reason and purpose. When you're in this industry, why are you in this industry? Is it just for profile or fame, or are you actually here because you care? You care about humanity. You care about what you might have survived and went through. I come out of an urban environment where I constantly seen people killed and gang violence and all of that. To look back and escape that, and even being around some of these gang people, and I've had people just like, Rob, sing to me, you make me calm just singing. It's like, okay, it might be something there. I always had the two different thoughts in my head. Maybe I could be something, and that never made me afraid to venture out further and further. And that took me, venturing out abroad, and just had an open mind about meeting people and, like a sponge absorbing, and giving, not just absorbing, but giving, because I think that's the important factor, that all you accumulate and learn in life, you should be thinking about giving it back to humanity. Because one day, no matter how well you live your life, you're going to leave this earth. What did you leave behind? What did, how did you inspire someone else to go on and be their best self?
Yeah, exactly. You try to mirror what you
you try to open up a viewpoint to people to, like, you can be inspired by me, but where are you at? What it's time for you to take that little piece of inspiration and throw it into your uniqueness and give your uniqueness out in the world, because nobody else can be you.
I just wanted to touch on a bit about the future of house music and sort of AI and artists, going that direction. How do you feel about that? Do you think that that whole era of Chicago house music and house music generally, do you think it's quite which way it's going to go in terms of obviously singer and songwriting? And is there anyone else you feel that you really kind of rate and would like to work with in the future?
So many. Quincy is gone. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, I would love to work with them. I think that would be, I think about odd combinations. I was around Miles Davis before he died. I wish I would have worked with him, but I got a chance to sit with him and talk with him and have been inspired by him. I'm in a book that he put me in this book just because of the encounter of us meeting and stuff. And I met him through a famous designer, Koshin Sato, who's still really close to me, a good friend, But I'm open-minded to meet anybody, I think that's where I've made myself visible on like Instagram and stuff. And if I get inspired just through an email or conversation, I'm just like, let's give it a try, man. I'm very open-minded to work with people and not just stay in that area of a famous person or this kind of person, to be just open-minded and receptive to good energy and thinking about vibrational levels and climbing vibrational levels. When you climb vibrational levels, you automatically open your mind and receptive energy to other entities that you don't see on different levels and stuff. So I'm kind of into that kind of vibe, but I've been around. I did shows with Grace Jones, Lolita Holloway. I was Sylvester's PA I can say I dressed Sylvester. I picked his outfit out to wear. And he's like, which one of them do you think I should wear? I'm like, this little piece here, that'll work. And he's like, I don't think they're going to like me. I'm like, I play your music all the time, but God, I've been around so many different artists, to your new ones, Robbie Williams, Lana Del Rey's, and all of this, a lot of the new to the old, and then you got young people that ain't never had any experience and stuff that get in touch with me, and I went in the studio and worked with them, so.
Yeah, because I think, say, something like our release that's coming out with you, hopefully people get inspired by that and maybe look back at your old back catalogue and pick up some of those releases and see, there's a history of stuff.
And sometimes I forget, even somebody was like, you don't really know how many records. Somebody went on to, I think it was TrackSource or Beatport. They said, you have loads of records out there.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Even when I look at some of your back catalogue and I see like you released like a compilation album last year with Vic Lavender, like a lot of other artists. Yeah.
Somebody sent me an old album I did for Japan label too. That was like, I completely forgot about that album. and it's kind of got a live feel and everything to it. Yeah,
endless. The catalog, and you're still producing and
I
writing.
even wrote a song because it says "I am a machine." It never came out, but I did it with a techno artist, and then he just didn't know what to do. I think I gave him too many different, excuse me, variations of lyrics, but it's like about the future and me being a machine and, you know, constantly pumping out energy of tracks and all of this. Going to Venus, Neptune, Mars, PTKX. I was making up planets.
That's serious.
Because I've always said, well, look, it's got to be something more than us, you know.
You're right.
I've just been inspired by that thought as a little kid, you know, so... the whole AI thing, you know, it's good. It's materializing. You know, I think with a lot of this artificial intelligence, they would get to solutions a lot faster than some of us have gotten to some of these solutions, especially in the medical sector and different places like that. I think those kind of places. I've done AI programs. I did one for voice swap, where I had to send my voice in doing about an hour worth of vocals, and I had to even mouth sounds to it and everything, but it still couldn't reduplicate my natural character. It could just give you a little of the essence of it. So they haven't got to that point, but it's good from one angle, you know, but even writing, I've asked the AI to write me a song, and I still looked at that song and I was like, I wouldn't have wrote that song like that. So I dissected their song and rewrote it in a way that I would write it. So I still think this is where, like, when I'm working with someone, it's like I could give you the basic root fundamentals of how to operate a situation, a scenario. Then you need to implement your own natural uniqueness into that. And so that's where I think, you know, we still got a little edge on the AI system by staying true to ourselves and giving our natural ability of what we give.
Oh, okay. So back to the Jazz Cafe. Like I say, we're honoured to have you performing there and playing alongside you at the gig.
Us in the backtrack band.
Right, exactly. And the guys, and I know you've been working with these guys before over in Berlin. So this is something new. This is something we haven't seen from you before. As you're obviously used to performing on stage and just performing your tracks live. This is with a band, and I'm guessing the tracks have been...
great musicians. So really looking forward to it.
So what can we expect from you on the night?
It should be heartfelt is, I guess, a word or thought that you could say.
That's a good way to start from. If it's going to be heartfelt and it's from the heart, then that's the way forward.
I think in a short way of saying it, you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, hope people are receptive to it. But from the rehearsal, you know, we've done and stuff, you know, it was really beautiful, you know. So let's see. Let's have it. It's like, get in there, son.
Some of those tracks are really long, aren't they? You know, like house music tracks are 7 or 8 minutes long. So I'm interested to see.
They've tried. They said they've been worried about the timing and everything. Make sure you get it down to 75 minutes. And I was like, okay, we'll do our best to come right in on your timing. If it goes a little over, just give us a clue, and we'll just gracefully go out. And we'll gracefully say, okay, bye.
I don't have too much to say. I think it's been really amazing and great time to obviously meet you in person, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you both, and thank you all for the record. It's really good.
Thank you.